The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, UnderdogFantasy.com. Go sign up with promo code NBA SGPN and get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. Yes, sir. We are back with another edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Don't mean to voice some guys. Me, really raw, feeling raw, Terrell Furman Jr. here at your service. All right, so WNBA draft was last night. I mean, with no games on, it was clearly like if you weren't watching Monday Night Raw, I feel like WNBA draft was still in the screens. There might have been some people that might have been locked into a little bit of baseball or something like that here or there, but no, nothing going on in the world of hoops for one of the rare days, and for some reason, still no win totals up on DK. This is crazy. Where are the WNBA win totals?
We still have to decide, by the way, if we're going to be doing the win totals with the awards, that's separate episodes. I think that's separate. But the point is, we will be having WNBA shows in the next week or so.
Yeah, so. I really wanted to start this week, but they're not giving us the content. Scott, what's going on? Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on for real?
Scotty, beat me up.
Surprise.
Yeah, doing pretty well. Can't complain. I know we did the Mothership show, the show with Sean and Kramer yesterday, so we ended up covering some of these games already, but looking forward to breaking it down again on the NBA Gambling Podcast. Should be fun. Looking forward to the two games tonight. I know that, of course, it is finally time for some basketball fans to sit up in their seats because the games actually matter now, so you can avoid worrying about the tanking teams and all the teams that aren't worth a damn. Now you have teams that are actually laying it all on the line. Should be fun. I know that both of us love playoff basketball. Playing basketball, I'm going to count it with an asterisk next to it. It is postseason basketball. Should be fun, though. Looking forward to the games tonight.
Yeah. Whoa. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It feels like they have now gotten me to 100%, if I wasn't already, to 100% buy into the play-in. I think that, and we talked about it on the Mothership show last night. Go check that out. www.youtube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast. I feel like, yeah, with the exception of like one game, I'm rather interested and I'm rather curious and to see where this goes and how this ends up and what this means moving forward. But more than likely, I think that we get to a point where maybe, just maybe, the league spreads out enough where we get something like Golden State, where they're a team that can actually be a title contender and they're playing in the play-in.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic. I feel like I'm still kind of lukewarm on it. Or maybe we should avoid I'm trying to think of how to do this, because I might be fine with one game just being an 8 versus a 9.
Mm-hmm.
I think that having the 9-10 is kind of a waste for me. Like, I understand the argument is, well, the Bulls are fun and the Heat are still around, but like, on the other hand, you're watching Kings Mavericks and you're like, what the hell are we doing? Like, I feel like I understand why they did it. They wanted, of course, more games to actually do for ratings and stuff like that. But do I think we really need 10 teams from each conference to be in the running for a playoff spot when there are 30 teams total?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think we need 10. I'd rather have one playing game in each conference, just the 8 versus 9. But I understand why they did it. I'm going to ask you, though, like, do you really need to see the 10 seed in it? Like, I really don't care. I get the argument is to avoid some tanking from some of these teams to try to at least fight for a play-in push. It feels a bit excessive to me. I think teams are going to be tanking anyway if they want to. Like, the Sixers could have made a run for the play-in. They wouldn't have made it, but they could have tried. And they decided, what are we even doing? Like, some teams pulled the plug anyway. It didn't really matter. I think the 9-10 games are kind of a waste. I'd rather have the 8 versus the 9. I think that's kind of it for me. Is that a fair compromise?
I think I agree, and I guess it would make sense because the Hawks were the 9. I guess it only makes sense if the 10 seed actually runs the gauntlet, and makes it as the 8 seed, and that hasn't happened.
I
But
don't
we
think a
have the
9 or a
Hawks.
10 has made the
No,
playoffs.
so the Hawks made the playoffs as the 9,
They
and
did,
they
okay.
won the first game and then went and
They
won
beat
on the road.
Cleveland. They beat Cleveland in that close game. They
Yep.
came back. Okay, that's right.
Yep, and so that happened, and that's where I was like, okay, I'm cool with this, because like you showed that somebody can come out of the bottom game and make the playoffs, but that was also a home game. We have yet to see a team be able to win on the road back-to-back games in the play-in and make the playoffs, and well, could happen this year. I will admit it could. Wait, could it? Yeah, it could happen this year. All right, we'll get to all of that in just a second. A little bit of tease for later on in the week. But if you're looking for all of our picks and podcasts, NBA, WNBA, tennis, MMA, golf, soccer, English Premier League, whatever else there is out there, we have a show for it more than likely. UFL, all of those shows that a lot of people don't know on the network that are on the network. Yeah, you can go get all those over there at our app, sg.pn/app, or just go to the App Store and download the SGPN app, Google Play Store, whatever store your store is called, but go download it. All right, Scott. Where's it at? Before we get started, I know we have it here. Wait, do we not? No.
Is it the Rumble? What are you looking for?
Yeah. Where's the Rumble?
I
not-
immediately knew where you were going to go with that. I just was trying to
Oh,
guess.
I thought we had it here. Is this on the WNBA show?
No, because you definitely played that, I think, in the NBA.
Yeah, somebody is messing with our drops. I know I'm not tripping. This is the second time.
I don't see it.
This is the second time I feel like we've had a drop on the board, and I've looked for it, and I couldn't find it. And we're going to find the bandit. There's a drop bandit out here somewhere, and we're going to find him. All right. Nonetheless, it gets real. It gets damn real. First game up, Eastern Conference play-in game 7 versus the 8 seed. The 7 seed Orlando Magic are at home, welcoming the 8 seed Atlanta Hawks. Magic are laying 5.5. 219 is the total. Interesting development there with the total, Scott. The total has jumped a lot since we talked last night.
3 points.
And it's even gone over the opening line of 218. In the play-in, where we can admit, Scott, the unders in the play-in have been very, very good. So I'm interested to see this line increase, actually. Injury report for these two teams. And we have Trae Young, who is probable, Clint Capella, Larry Nance still out. Nothing to report for the Orlando Magic side of the ball. Wow. Wait, hold on. Why does RotoWire not have, are the refs not out yet? Here we go.
I'm not sure.
I don't know why RotoWire doesn't have it updated, but I went to the NBA website and I pulled it up. James Williams, Pat Fryer, Carl Lane, all on the call here for this game. Go do some research, Scott. Play a game. Get on the call, play a game, and see what the ref report is looking like here for the NBA play-in. See if that has anything to do with it. But it seems so easy, Scott. What possibly could make you want to take Atlanta here? Like, you look at the past 10 games leading up into the play-in where both of these two teams are fighting for their right to get into the actual playoffs. Orlando finished 8-2. Atlanta finished 4-6. Even work, 5-5 ATS for them, 7-3 for the Atlanta Magic. Magic are the number one defensive team in that span. Atlanta's all the way down to 28. They're giving up 120.7 points per game. Atlanta's a good offensive rebounding team, but now they're going up against the million of close to 7-footers that the Atlanta Magic have. So the only thing that scares me is the fact that it's the Hawks in the play-in. The Hawks in the play-in are actually really dangerous.
I mean, do you actually believe that, or is that just a bit of paranoia?
No, I mean, if we go back to it, 2 of the last 3 play-ins, the Hawks have wins and made the playoffs. And
I mean, I remember them getting curb stomped last year by Chicago, but that's a separate story.
yeah, and I'm saying, okay, they got that one, and then the year before, we've seen Trae Young be able to pull them. What was it? The year before was the one where they were the 7,
Yeah.
I want to say, and they won that game and went on. And then the year before that, they were the 9 and won 2 games and went on. Like, I'll admit, slight nerve that Atlanta gets up for this game, especially with Atlanta has a road win this season against the Orlando Magic. Magic came back and repaid that in full a couple of times, and the last game really didn't mean anything. But on paper, everything says go with Orlando. But I understand anybody that doesn't feel great about that.
I think the one wrinkle into it, which makes it pretty interesting, is how familiar these teams are with each other. Because usually when you get a play-in game, you have teams that played a couple of times different divisions. They played 4 times. Like, they're in the same division. That whole division was horrible.
Dog, they played 4 times since February.
I know. But they were very, very familiar with each other. Like, that's kind of the point, is that if you want to make an argument for Atlanta, the argument is Trae Young can be the best player on the court in one game. And Atlanta, with familiarity, maybe can find some openings in this defense and try to capitalize on it to some degree, at least enough to get the job done against an offense that we all know is not very good. The problem is that Atlanta can't guard anybody, and Orlando's fan base is very, very, I'd say, intense, and it's a very good home court environment. Yeah, it is. So when you factor that in, and I'm going to ignore the last game because that was the last game of the season.
Yeah.
Shout out to Keaton Wallace, though, at a triple-double. But the point is they faced off on the 8th, and the Magic did win that game by 7, scored 119 points. That's why the line went up. It's because the Hawks gave up 119 points to the Magic. That's a problem. But Okonkwo with 30, like, he had a good game. Trae was 10 of 20. He had a solid game, too, at 28 and 10. The argument that you're going to make for Atlanta is if Trae Young can go off once again in a play-in game, and if you're getting enough contributions from Risachet and Okonkwo, can they score enough points to outlast a really ugly offense in Orlando? That's the question. Do I think they will? No. Do I think it's going to be close? To some degree. I think Orlando will be in a bit of a dogfight throughout the game, but I think eventually Orlando's defense will ramp up in the fourth quarter, and Atlanta's defense can't. Their defense is not good enough to find another gear, and that's the problem that I have. Last year against Chicago, I remember Kobe White had like 37 points. Trae was sleepwalking out there defensively. I made a video about it, actually, on Twitter that kind of went viral. But the point is, I just think Atlanta defensively is not engaged enough on a regular basis, and you just can't forfeit that many free looks offensively to other teams in playoff settings. And I know that Orlando, if they are able to win this game, will make Atlanta's offense work for it for 20-plus seconds in the shot clock in crunch time on every possession. I cannot say the same about Atlanta. That's the main issue that I run into. I'll take Orlando. I don't feel great about it, but I do think their defense will do enough to frustrate Atlanta offensively while getting easier looks on the other end. I'll take Orlando, play the drop. We don't have it, actually. I'm just meaning the Orlando Magic drop. But I'll go with the Orlando Magic. Whoa. I'll go with that. That's kind of
man. Yeah. Why don't we have that? We gotta have that.
Orlando Magic.
After we win this game, we'll make sure that we have that for the first round series.
But who's supposed to match up with Franz and Paolo? I mean, they've owned Atlanta this season. I know Daniels has been a great story. He has been a phenomenal steals guy. He's the favorite to win most improved. He's still a bit undersized to guard Paolo or Franz. And you traded away DeAndre Hunter. Like, what do you have? You're going to throw Risachet out there and tell him good luck? I just think it's a bad matchup with those two guys for Atlanta's defense. Terrence Mann, maybe, but, like, I don't know how many minutes he normally plays. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Atlanta's going to have to try to get creative with matching up against with matching up against Orlando's best 2 players. That's a problem. Like, I just think that it's a matchup issue, and the way that Franz and Paolo size-wise are built, it's kind of a weak spot for Atlanta's personnel. That's where I'm at. You agree with that or no?
Yeah, I'm laying it.
I mean, I see in the comment section, JR is talking about how Okonkwo handles Paolo easily. Does he? Because the last game they played
I was about to say Paolo did.
Paolo had 33 points and 10 rebounds on 50% shooting. So, like, I don't really know what you're talking about. I mean, Franz wasn't that efficient in that game. He was 8 of 20. But Paolo just had a 33 piece on 50% shooting. I know Okonkwo had a great game in response to that. But it really does feel like when you're looking at Risachet and you're throwing in Okonkwo or maybe Guy to guard one of these guys, like, I just don't think it's a great matchup for Atlanta. I think it'll be close, but I think Orlando with the home crowd does enough.
Last 3 games for Paolo Banchero versus the Atlanta Hawks, 33, 36, 31. There is nothing he's handling with ease. And if this is ease, Jesus Christ.
And I think Franz can do a good job of getting to the lane. I mean, both teams do foul a lot, so you might see a lot of free throws, which does play into Trey's hands, of course. But the Magic in that last meeting that actually mattered, they attempted 31 free throws. I just feel like Paolo and Franz are going to constantly get downhill, and you're going to end up seeing Atlanta start hacking. And I can see Paolo and Franz combining for, like, I don't even know, like 17, 18 free throws. I can see that happening. I feel like Atlanta is not a fundamentally sound defensive team. When you have two teams that are going to basically go to the rim constantly, I'll back the team that I think just can play better defense without fouling. And from what I've seen from Atlanta, they can't do that. That's my main issue with this team defensively. So, there you go.
You want to play a game?
Sure.
All right, let's play a game of Rev or No Rev. Highly anticipated game that people have waited almost a year to return.
I know Scott Foster's not participating tonight, so he's still,
No. We got James Williams, who is 36, 24, and 2 to the home team ATS.
Okay.
26 and 33 to the total as the lead official.
Okay.
We got Pat. Where's Pat at? Pat Fryer, or however he pronounces his name. I think that's right. Who is 26, 35, and 3 to the home team, 33 and 30 to the over. And who's the last? Carlane. It was Carlane. What's Carlane doing out over here? Carlane, 28, 29, and 1 to the home team, 29, 28 to the total. So a little bit of everywhere there. Lead official is on the home team and the under. Others oppose that.
I mean, I'm also just looking at, you mentioned the main ref, though, being a massive home favorite, basically, team at this point, or home favorite ref. I mean, I'm just looking at the scoring options for these teams, though, and both teams are pretty limited when it comes to scoring depth, if I'm being honest here, but you're looking at Atlanta, and you might be relying a lot on maybe LeVert off the bench. He might be the big reason why Atlanta could find a way to win this game if he has a solid game off the bench. But you have Trae Young. I know Risachet has had a couple of monster games. For the most part, he's fine. You're expecting what, like 12 from Risachet most nights, give or take?
Yeah, something like that.
So you're expecting 12 from him.
A little bit more.
We know Daniels is more of a defensive player. He has some offensive skills, but not the best shooter in the world. And you have Guy and Okonkwo. Like, how many of those guys do you actually fear offensively? I know Trey you're afraid of, even though the shooting percentage isn't that great. Orlando at least has 2 guys that can walk into 30. Atlanta has 1. And even with Trey, you can put a little asterisk next to it, but I think that Trey can get you 30 in theory.
For me, with the Hawks, it's the system, and it's just what's my guy's name again? I forget his name. Dang, what's the Atlanta coach name again?
Quinn Snyder.
Yeah, Quinn Snyder. I wanted to say Pat Snyder, and I knew that was wrong. But I wanted to say Pat Snyder so bad. Quinn Snyder. But yeah, Quinn Snyder offense and him just being able to find ways to continue to get this team in motion. And of course, Daniels is able to help them in transition. So they really got to limit turnovers, but Orlando does a pretty good job of that. But I think it's more of a system thing. And they go out, a lot of cuts, a lot of movement, and and scoring the basketball. I don't think the Hawks are like going to have issues scoring. I think they'll be fine. It'll be okay, but the Magic are an elite defense. So, like, what are you going to do against elite defense? Like, I think that Niang off the bench is probably Niang and LeVert probably have solid games off the bench.
I think they're the biggest X factors for Atlanta. I know that some people mentioned Terrence Mann. I know Mann had 0 points in the last meeting in the head-to-head, but I think Niang we know can be a flamethrower when it comes to the outside. We know that LeVert thinks he's the best player on the court every time he's on the court, which is definitely a problem. But the point is he's going to keep shooting. If Niang and LeVert put up a combined, let's say 25.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is really interesting. It's really interesting. And I actually think Niang can have a really good game. I played his over 7.5 points. So
I think he can too. But the point is, I think Atlanta can find a path to win if the bench shows up. But I still think that Orlando defensively will give up less free baskets. When it comes down to what should be a close game between two teams that know each other, I'd rather take the team that does not have 10 defensive breakdowns in a quarter.
yeah.
And Atlanta gives up a bunch of wide open shots.
Yeah,
That's kind of the problem I run into.
I agree. Cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic about the Atlanta Magic. It's just, I don't know. Atlanta is just really, really annoying at times getting up for a game. Like, that's what I hate, getting up for a game. And that's what the play-in is.
I agree with Adam, though. I mean, I said it on the overnight show with the Mothership Pod. I like Magic 1 to 10. I think Atlanta could cover this number, but I do think that no matter what happens, this game will be within single digits late. They faced off 4 times this season. Every meeting was this. I'm ignoring the last meeting because that was a bunch of guys who didn't actually, get minutes during the course of the season. So if you ignore the last game that Atlanta won in the final game of the regular season, all 3 meetings were decided by less than 8 points. Give me Orlando 1 to 10. I see a close game. I think Orlando finds a way to cover at the end, but I'd rather take Orlando 1 to 10 at a better price.
All right. Before we move on, are you playing the total? Are you going to the unders?
I think it's over or pass, but I hate it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have a hard time taking an over in a play-in game with the history of the play-in unders with the Orlando Magic. But I get it, because the last meeting did just land 231. I think I'm passing. Maybe Orlando team total, but I don't feel great about it at all.
I'm gonna parlay both of the unders and then just play that and see what happens. But
okay.
I'm not gonna actually really legitly.
It's such a painful night for unders though, because you have to watch Atlanta's defense and then
Memphis'
defense back to back, and it sucks.
I know, man. I know.
So
I know. Hopefully Orlando's offense is bad enough. All right, it could really be just Franz and Paulo and a little bit of everybody else, and that's enough for a win.
When it comes to bench, though, you're relying on, once again, it's Niang and LeVert, which I think are better options than Cole Anthony. I think Atlanta's bench is probably better than Orlando's bench, and maybe that's the equalizer. If the bench guys show up and drop 25,
we said it. We said it. If LeVert and Niang both have a day, they're probably in this game.
Yeah.
All right. Ever had your deposit blocked by your bank right before a big bet? Ever need to cash at 2 a.m. for another shot at the tables, but you hit your ATM limit? Then Edge Boost has your back. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors. Edge Boost gives you fast, reliable access to your funds, making it easier to move money when you need it without the delays that can come with traditional banks. For high rollers, you can move up to $2,500,000 a day. Edge Boost Visa debit card with unlimited withdrawals. Hey, this works for 24/7. This works 24/7 for instant deposits. You'll never have to wait for a wire to clear again. It's better because when you deposit into a qualified gambling account, you earn cashback rewards up to 5%. All of this for no usage fees and no minimum balance. Edge Boost is a debit account that makes it easy to get started with no credit checks, no minimum balance, no usage fees. Simply verify your identity and you're good to go. Finally, Edge Boost has a suite of responsible gambling tools to help you manage your bankroll and make informed decisions. So go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag, your place to bet on every single sport, including the NBA playoffs. Scott, they even have WrestleMania odds up there. Just if you want free money, Bianca Belair is -105 to win the Women's World Championship, and she 100% is going to win. Just throwing free money out there, and free money. So easy deposit, lightning fast payouts using cryptocurrency. Head over there to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. It's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. All right, game number 2. Golden State Warriors at home, 7 seed, welcoming the 8 seed Memphis Grizzlies. Catching 7, 228.5 is total.
Line drops a bit though, with 7.5 overnight.
Yep. The total dropped a little too. No injury report for this game. Everybody's expected to go here, at least for the most part. What was his name? Wells is out with that broken wrist, that nasty fall he took. But
And your Brandon Clark is out for the year, but nobody new that's worth
yeah,
talking about in the injury report.
Memphis has been bad. Memphis has been horrible.
Yes, but they did manage to win a couple of games. So it's not like total free fall, but it's not good.
Yeah, but none of those games were against playoff teams in the West.
No, correct.
They haven't beaten a playoff team in the West since
I think you said it was January 30th, I think.
January 30th.
I remember that. Okay.
Unless you want to count the 11-point win against the Dallas Mavericks, where they started a lineup of Max Christie, Dante Exum, Kessler Edwards, Klay Thompson, and Najee Marshall.
Either way, point is they haven't beaten a team over 500 in the West in a long time.
Dog, they haven't even covered this number in that long of a time. Like, and I get it, it's the play-in. But they've been playing for the playoffs this whole time. No. They've been playing for the playoffs this whole time. Haven't done anything, and this is why they're in this predicament in the first place. What is Memphis doing right now?
When it comes to what they're doing right, I do think they possess a lot of scoring depth, which I do think helps, but I don't mind their front court. I think Edey's been fine. Triple J, I'm not a fan of the shot selection, but I do think that he can get you some buckets, and he can also, of course, rim protect. That's really the question for Golden State in this game. The last time they played, Curry had 52. He had 52, 10, and 8. You saw Draymond have a triple-double, and the Warriors went 28 of 20 from the free throw line. Yet they trailed with about 4 minutes to go. The problem Golden State might run into in this game is how small their lineup actually is, and how when you're comparing their front court size to the Grizzlies, there's a chance that Edey, I know Triple J never rebounds, but there is a chance that Edey and Triple J combine for 25 rebounds in this game. I mean, we saw the Clippers beat the Warriors because they were able to dominate the glass, and the Clippers out-rebounded the Warriors 42-25. There is a path based on the roster makeup of these teams where Memphis just is able to control the paint, and they are able to dominate the boards. That's the path for them in this game. I mean, we kind of disagreed about this game a little bit on the Mothership show, where I know you love Golden State. I'm picking Golden State to win. I think it's a really bad scheduling spot for Golden State. I really do. I'll let you finish making your points. To answer your question, though, about what the Grizzlies do well, they rebound, and they're decent at protecting the paint. That's basically what they do, and they also have some scoring depth. But besides that, they don't play a lick of defense at all. So I'll let you finish your point, but I'll get back afterwards.
No, I'd rather hear your point. I would love to know what makes this game any different or go any different than April Fools, where they beat them by 9 and Golden State won the rebounding battle by 6. Like, what is going to be any different in this game from a Memphis team? And in that game, they had Jalen Wells, who was an excellent defender, and they still allowed them to put up 134 points.
That's the big problem, is that Wells is out. He's their best perimeter defender, and Curry's still at 52 in that game. I mean, the problem is that I had money on Golden State in that game, so I watched a large portion of it, and Memphis was leading with like 3 or 4 minutes to go. Golden State ended up having a monster-class game from Curry, who has a messed up thumb. I know he had 36 against the Clippers, so it might not be a big deal, but his thumb is still mentioned, so we'll see how he looks. Butler got banged up at the end of that game against the Clippers. Draymond left the game early against the Clippers, came back, but he had a neck issue. This is an older team, and Memphis hasn't used any of their main guys since the 11th. Golden State had an overtime war. Butler, I think, played 48 minutes in that game against the Clippers on Sunday. Curry played 38. Draymond played 38. Podziemski played like 43. This is an old team. They only had 1 day off in between. It's an awful scheduling spot for Golden State. They might win the game anyway. I know on the overnight show I like the team total over. I'll dare Memphis to stop anybody, and I'll go from there. I think when you're looking at the spot and the actual roster makeup of these teams, I see a path for Memphis to make this game extremely stressful for Golden State. I'll pick Golden State to win, But I do think Memphis has some areas on the roster that they can exploit with Golden State's roster, mainly the size of the front court for these teams. If Ja goes for 30 and change, they can pull this off. The argument is Ja, though, is still not a great outside shooter, but he still takes a lot of outside shots, and that might be a problem in terms of efficiency. I'm going to go Golden State to win. I might go 1-10 again, but I do think this game is closer than people think. I think Memphis goes down swinging. I'll give them a puncher's chance. I think they fall short, but I do think there's a reason why the line is dropped. It's a really bad scheduling spot for Golden State. When you factor in all the injuries that Draymond's dealing with and Butler's dealing with and Curry are dealing with, it's really not a great spot. If they had 5 days off and this game was being played on Thursday, I think Golden State would kill this team. But I think with the short turnaround after an overtime game 82, it's a really bad spot by comparison to Memphis, who took a nap for 4 days.
All right. Well, here's how I'll combat that. Because I do understand and I agree it's a bad spot. But you know what's also a worse spot? Is playing that overtime game, going through a war with the Grizzlies, and then having to play another game 2 days after because you didn't take the Grizzlies out like you should have. And so I've seen Memphis do this. I've seen Memphis make a game competitive in the first half, and then the third quarter come around. Most recently, with that game against the Timberwolves, where they
gave
allowed
up 52
points.
Yeah.
And they completely cooked the spread in the second half.
Okay, so we can
I'll go
compromise here.
a
Maybe first
halftime
half.
full.
Okay.
Yep, I'll take a halftime full time with Grizzlies and then the Warriors. That's a fun way that I think we could play this and we could really get paid here. Probably at 5-1 odds, I think. And so yeah, or plus 550 because Memphis is the dog. And so yeah, I think Memphis will get up for Golden State in some aspect, maybe early in the game. But when you fire your head coach that has been coaching the team really, really well, you're going to realize that at halftime, when you're playing Golden State coming out for the third quarter, that you probably kind of wanted a coach that, can get you through those Golden State runs in the third quarter, especially that second half when the game is on the line. I think Golden State's going to cover this. I think that even if they're down, I'm probably going to end up live betting Golden State at some point. But I think they end up second half comes around, they roll them. I don't think they have an answer for Steph. I really don't think they have an answer for Jimmy. I think this is going to be a big and potentially a playoff Jimmy type of game here. Jimmy had 27 in that last matchup. So yeah, I'm all over the Golden State Warriors here.
I personally prefer Warriors team total over instead, because if the Warriors cover this game, I'm assuming they're scoring 120. Because Memphis plays so fast, so do the Warriors. They want to play fast too. So I see a track meet breaking out between these teams. I do think Golden State, if they're going to win this game, is just going to find a bunch of open looks and get the job done. I don't see Memphis, by the way they play and how bad their defense is, I don't see this turning into a rock fight. I know the play-in unders are popular. Maybe you'll see the game slow down a bit. But Memphis doesn't want to play in the half court because their half court offense, I don't think is that good. So I think this team should be involved in a lot of intentional pace, and I see a lot of, once again, fast break opportunities for both teams. I'll go with the team total over for Golden State as my main option for Golden State, but I don't think Golden State's as big of a slam dunk pick as a lot of people think. I think Memphis does possess some problems matchup-wise for Golden State. Now, I do see Spacey mentioning nobody wants to see Memphis. I got bad news for you, because whoever loses this game is beating the Kings or beating the Mavericks, so you're going to see Memphis at some point over the course of it. But I do want to ask you as a sidebar, a side note that I want to bring up, because it was a talking point in the finale against the Clippers. Does Kuminga play in this game?
Yes, and Kuminga probably has a good game.
I think he has to play in this game.
I don't know if you remember. I think it was last season, maybe 2 seasons ago, but I remember there was one point in time where there was a big talk about why Steve Kerr benched Kuminga, and then the next game Steve Kerr played him, he came off the bench and had like 20-25 and looked amazing. And something clicked. That benching clicked. I can't remember if it was last season or the season before. But I just remember that moment. I want to say maybe it was against the Mavericks or like somewhere around that. But I just remember it was this controversy. He benched him for a game or didn't play him a lot, and then they came out. They were talking about it in the media, and he started playing Kuminga again, and Kuminga was going on a run of like 20-plus points.
I just don't understand what Kerr's doing with Kuminga. There's been an issue for 3-4 years. I get Kuminga, you could argue, doesn't take the best shots in terms of selection, and defensively, he could have some lapses. I just feel like Kuminga is too valuable for your bench scoring. Unless you want to rely on your veteran guys to play 40 minutes in every game. Who do
This
you have
is,
on your bench that could actually get buckets besides Kuminga?
I think that Kerr's problem is that he's not quick, but once he's off of you for a while, he's off of you because
No,
look
he
at what,
puts you in the doghouse very
yeah,
quickly.
because look at what Pods is doing right now. And there was a point in time where Pods was in the shitter.
Yeah.
He was in the shitter. Like, so what is going on that you can't get this production that Pods and Moody too. Yeah, so Moody too. Moody, and now Moody's in the starting lineup. And there was one point Moody wasn't even playing games. He was
Kerr's
a
had a
healthy
bunch of
scratch.
moments with these young players where he just decides, I don't like you. And then he benches you
Yeah,
for 3 weeks.
it's
And you're like,
like
oh, this guy's
Andy.
actually good.
It's like Andy when Buzz Lightyear
I
came
don't want to play
around.
with you
I
anymore.
don't want to play with you anymore. Like, what? We can play with both. We can play.
I mean, that's the issue I run into, though, with
everybody.
Golden State is I know that they almost beat the Clippers anyway, and the Clippers have been playing great basketball, so I recognize that they gave a hot team in the league all that they could handle, and they fell a bit short. I just don't know if you can get away with beating Memphis when you have a lack of size. You might be using Gary Payton II more, which I understand defensively if you want him to match up on Ja, and that's your only priority for him to play. But if you keep Draymond and Butler and Payton II on the court at the same time, your shooting's going to be atrocious. You have Curry and you have Pajemski as your only two threats on the outside. Draymond made 4 3-pointers against the Clippers last game. I don't see that happening again. But the point is, I just question if Golden State can actually get by putting so much, I'd say, weight on Steph and Butler's shoulders, being the main scoring options. Pajemski's been great lately. We'll see if that keeps going. I think you need Kuminga. I know that it sounds a bit crazy because Kuminga defensively can be a problem and his shot selection can be poor. But how many shot creators does Golden State actually have on the roster? The answer is not as many you'd probably like. I think Kuminga needs to play in this game. My concern is Kerr's not going to play him because Kerr currently doesn't like him.
No, I think
he has to play.
I think after the loss, he's going to play him, and Kuminga's going to kill.
And Freeze mentioning it, Buddy Hield was there for the last shot. I know Buddy Hield, they needed a 3, I get it. They ran the same play that Kerr's been running for 7 years that never works with the, far side throw-in play, which never works. But the point is Hield's getting minutes. Hield has a lot of issues too. And it feels like he's willing to play Hield, but not willing to play Kuminga. And it feels, I don't know, just off to me. It feels like there's a bit of favoritism to veteran guys, but I like what Kuminga brings athletically to this matchup. I think Kuminga needs to play against an athletic Memphis team. And I'm concerned he's not going to play him.
I think he's going to play him.
I hope he does.
I'm pissed that books aren't offering odds on Kuminga. I would 100% play Kuminga. Like, that would be my dog. If I had odds on Kuminga, 20 plus points or something like that, whatever would give me some good plus money, I would 100% have a bet on Kuminga tonight. I think Kuminga is going to come out here after that benching, and it would make sense because, like, this is the matchup that you want Kuminga to go out there and just run and gun and play and be physical and do and help on the offensive glass and on the rebounding, like you all been saying. Like, I'm not going to say 100%, but I'm fairly positive that I'm not thinking anything of Kuminga not playing against the Clippers, which is a completely different style basketball team, and the Memphis Grizzlies, which is really the matchup that you really, really want Kuminga. I think Kuminga's going to play and he's going to kill, and the books are scared because they're not offering the line.
Well, I do want to ask you, though, just based on the actual lineups that Kerr's running out there, I know that Hield gives you 3-point shooting, and Golden State's always prioritized kind of playing an outside-in system, trying to get as many open looks from the outside as possible to open up layups and backdoor cuts. Do you think that Hield should be playing more minutes than Kuminga? Because I don't think so. I think Hield is a very, very volatile player. But if you're asking which player I'd rather have on the court for 25 minutes, I'm taking Kuminga.
Yeah, Jonathan Kuminga. I think at one point in time, before the Jimmy trade, of course, I had Jonathan Kuminga pegged as their second best player. So
there was a stretch where he was
in the beginning of the season. I took odds on Kuminga. Well, I didn't take odds, but I was interested in Kuminga most improved. Like, I think Kuminga is now their third best player. So he just has to not put them in the doghouse when they suck for a couple of weeks, because everybody has a little bit of a span where they suck. It's the NBA.
It's kind of my point, though, is that Hield's a streaky shooter. We know that when he's on, he could win the 3-point contest a couple times, so he can be a flamethrower. But when it comes to why Kerr benches Kuminga, it's usually defensive related. It's usually because he misses a rotation or something bad happens. For the record, I think Hield's a horrible defender too, so I don't even understand that explanation of why you'd play Hield and why you wouldn't play Kuminga. At least Kuminga can, I'd say, make up for some mistakes with athleticism. Hield, I feel like, is also in a bad position defensively quite often. There's a lot of miscommunications. You also question his offensive, I'd say, vision, because Hield isn't really a good passer at all. I'd rather play Kuminga 25-plus minutes than Hield, but it feels like Kerr would rather play the veteran, who I think is a worse basketball player than Kuminga. That's kind of my stance on that dynamic. Do we agree on that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I really like Jonathan Kuminga. Yeah,
because I'm fine with Gary. I'm fine with Gary Payton the second playing, because in this matchup you need him to play for defense and he gives you hustle stuff. I just don't know if Fields.
This isn't the one he's going to play. If there's ever a game where he's going to flip and not play Gary Payton as much and play Kuminga more, is this one.
Really, I disagree.
No. They're going to buy if this game gets how you say, and Memphis is running and gunning and playing, he's going to look at that, and he's going to look at Jonathan Kuminga on the bench, and he's not going to be able to help himself. And Kuminga's going to go out there and take it and play Memphis's game and put up a bunch of points. Like, that's another reason why I like Golden State, is because I think that Jonathan Kuminga is going to be back in the lineup and he's going to have a really good game.
Well, we're arguing different things here, because you're saying why Gary Payton II should not play and Kuminga should. I'm saying both of them should play, and I think Hield should get his minutes cut in this game. The argument is maybe they need the outside shooting, but to be honest, I think Gary Payton II needs to play if you want to try to slow down either Bane or Ja, because he's easily their best defensive player. So I do think that Payton II has to play. Kuminga should play for the athleticism, and they also might need his help on the rebounds. I don't know what Hield does besides shoot and space the floor. And if the three-pointer's not there, he's not a good defensive player, and I don't know if he brings anything else to the table. So I would rather see Hield's minutes get cut. You keep Payton and Kuminga, and I would do that instead. But I think Gary Payton II needs to play in this game. For me.
I don't think. I mean, he's going to play, but like,
defensively, you have to try something on Ja. You have to try to make him work for it, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't think that's going to.
Or Bane. You throw him on Bane, you hope for the best, but at least Payton gives you some
Desmond Bane's going to take himself out of the equation. That's another reason why Desmond Bane's going to take himself out of the equation.
Well, the point is, maybe you let Ja go crazy, you stop Bane, you just dare Ja to make enough shots on the outside, but maybe I'm viewing it the same way the Clippers use Chris Dunn. You throw him on somebody, try to take them out of rhythm, and then you go from there. But I think Payton II has to play. I love his under points, by the way, for Payton II, because he has to spend all his energy guarding on defense, and he's not really a good offensive player anyway. But I do think it's a good spot for Payton.
I think it's a great play, because I just don't think he's going to get the minutes this game.
Either or. I think he might play 18 minutes or so, and he'll shoot 3-4 times, because I know that the Warriors don't want him to shoot. I just don't know what Hield's supposed to do in this game. That's kind of where I'm at. I think Hield has a bad matchup because he doesn't guard, and I don't trust him enough when it comes to defensive rotations and ball movement to contribute. I don't think he is a plus player when you factor in all the other areas of the game that he does not do anything in besides shooting. And even the shooting is streaky. Do we agree on the Hield matchup, though? I think it's a bad matchup for Hield.
No, I don't. I actually took Hield's over points.
Okay.
I mean, I get that you're concerned that this may be a streaky shooting game, but like, I mean, he's an NBA player, and I think he's going to get open looks against the Memphis Grizzlies.
I get it. My point is,
and he's shown over the past couple of games, Steve Kerr has shown, like, I'm going to continue to get, whether you guys like it or not, he's going to be out there, and he has a green light. So I don't care what you think. And shoot, he's good enough where he could put up 9 points against this Grizzlies team. So yeah, I think Buddy Hield's going to go out there, and he's actually going to have his contribution. They have the rotation where they can play some Hield, they can play some Payton, they can play some Kuminga when it happens. And I think everybody's going to have a really, really solid offensive day. Why? Because the Memphis Grizzlies can't stop a cold.
I get what you're saying. I just feel like when you're looking at Hield, yes, I think he should get some open looks, so I understand your angle. But if the shot is not falling on a given night, isn't he just an absolute zero? He doesn't give you anything defensively. I just don't think that's tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think that's tonight.
That's kind of my point, though. I feel like the floor is higher with Kuminga minutes than it is with Hield minutes. That's the argument I'm making.
I'm still betting Buddy Hield.
That's fine. Once again, Hield might get open, looks, he might hit some shots, but if the shot's not there, he's going to kill you on the other end. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
but I don't think this is gonna stop. Like, I still think you're probably gonna see a solid 20 minutes for Buddy Hield, solid maybe 20 minutes for Kuminga, somewhere around that same thing for Gary Payton, maybe a little bit less there. That's kind of how I have it pegged, and so I'm interested to see how the bench players perform here in this spot, and it'll also if Kuminga also plays, it tells me that Kerr is gonna play by matchup, and he's gonna play each lineup by matchup. So that gives me even more faith in him in the playoffs that he's not a complete idiot, because you can't not play Kuminga in this game.
It's still nuts to me though how Kerr has so many rings, and yet I have no faith in him using Kuminga in this game. It's really nuts to me how Kerr has been so successful in the playoffs, and yet it feels like all of us, especially me, recognize the flaws in his coaching game. Like, if he played Kuminga 5 minutes, didn't work out, and he pulled the plug, I wouldn't be shocked either, and I'd be pissed. Like, I feel like Kerr, I would not automatically give him the benefit of the doubt that he's going to play Kuminga, and that's the problem I have with Steve Kerr. He has a certain amount of bias towards players and a certain amount of distrust in other players, and he never really wavers. He constantly goes back to the veterans. He'll try to let the guys that got him there kind of find a way. But I agree with you. I think it has to be matchup-based, and I feel like Kerr might get extremely stubborn again, and there's a chance he just decides to freeze Kuminga out again, and I'll be pissed off when it happens. But that's a possibility, and that's why we're low on Steve Kerr. So, wanted to mention that.
All right. Let's see here. Wow, what a discussion. Holy crap, we are moving. All right. We got Lock, Dog, Underdog. But first, yeah, talk to you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. You can play any sport, and went up to 100x over there at Underdog Fantasy. We're going to give you this lineup in just a second, so make sure you stick around and sign up with promo code NBA SGPN. Claim your special pick and first time deposit offer. All you have to do is just pick higher or lower your favorite players' fantasy stats. So head over there, underdogfantasy.com, promo code NBA SGPN. First special pick, first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, your home for AI bat picks and props. Rhythm's live for Major League Baseball now. You can hit the NBA up, golf, all of that. Feels so good. It feels like it's cheating over there with your Rhythm models. Hey, they also have some cool deals. 25% off a monthly subscription right now, or 50% off the annual subscription. Just use promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50, whichever one you want to do, and that is your promo code to get your percentage off. That's RITHMM, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, and SGPN25 or 50 to get 25% off a monthly subscription or 50% off an annual subscription. All right. We are on to Lock, Dog, Underdog. 2-game slate. Scott, what are you doing?
All right, so I'll go with Gary Payton II under 7.5 points at -120 as my lock. I think at the end of the day, we know why Payton is on the court. You think Kuminga might cut into his minutes? That's better for me. Once again, there's a couple ways to get there. But if Payton II does play a lot, his entire purpose is to guard Ja. To spend all of his energy on defense, trying to muck up the offensive rhythm that Memphis has, and trying to spend all his energy that way with hustle stuff, rebounds, second chances, all that kind of thing. The point is, though, he cannot shoot, and he doesn't want to shoot. He played 25 minutes against the Clippers, including all 5 minutes in overtime. So he played 20 minutes in regulation. He scored 4 points. He scored 2 points in that game? He scored 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting. He does not want to shoot the ball. The Warriors don't want him to shoot the ball. His entire purpose is to be an energy guy that plays good defense, and Memphis has been good against him in the past. The Grizzlies are a really bad defensive team, but there's one area they're good at. They allow the 10th fewest points in the paint per game. Makes sense because you have Edey, you have Jaren Jackson Jr., you have a lot of size, a lot of trees in there on the inside. And Gary Payton II, a lot of his points come from backdoor cuts or floaters, which I don't see him taking against the front court that Memphis has, which means that Gary Payton II might have to hit a couple three-pointers, which I don't see happening because he shoots around 32% from three. I think the minutes will be around 18 or so, but I do think that foul trouble could be an issue with him guarding Ja maybe, but I see a pretty bad matchup for Gary Payton II. Also mentioning his head-to-head history, he scored less than 8 points against the Grizzlies in 5 straight games. So the Grizzlies have done a good job of stopping him. I see him scoring maybe 4 or 5 points, and they're fine with that because Golden State wants other guys, better shooters to shoot the ball. So you're going to be Payton II under 7.5 points and -120 as my lock. For my dog, I am going to go back to the first game. Division rivals, they've seen each other a ton. I see a close game, but I see Orlando winning. Give me Orlando 1-10 on the win margin. Think it'll be close and ugly, but I see Orlando doing just enough to get a stop at the end to win the game. For the win margin, though, for this game, Orlando 1-10 is +178. Good enough for me. Orlando wins a close game.
Lock.
I know you want to take the Warriors. So you can do it if you want to.
No, I've already given out Warriors.
Okay.
Warriors team total over 117.5.
Okay. I like that on the overnight show.
Yeah. Memphis is inconsistent today. Dog. Oh, same game? Yeah, it looks like it's going to be same game. Give me Memphis in the first half. Golden State money line.
That's probably like 5-1, but I could try to find the best price for you on that. Give me a second.
I just think that I don't think they have anything. I think Memphis is just in horrible form, and they
Their
haven't
defense is going to
been
fold.
able. Their defense is going to fold in the second half, and that's ultimately what this is for me. In both bets, is that I don't think that they have anything defensively to stop the Warriors. And so we have all these discussions about the Warriors bench, but at the end of the day, if you give NBA players open looks at the basket, they're going to hit them. And this Warriors team with Steve Kerr's system is going to be able to put up points. So whether Memphis wants to run and gun as well, or even if this slows down, I think Golden State still can get here, and it's Memphis that is going to be impacted offensively by having to play half court sets, because I know Golden State can still play out of the half court, but I'm not 100% certain that this Memphis team is really, really good out of the half court when it's not just Ja ISO or something with Ja related. So yeah, I'm really, really good on this anymore. I wanted to think of it as a rivalry, and Memphis was going to get up for the game, but
It's not a
Memphis
rivalry.
has
They get
been
their
dead.
asses kicked every time.
Memphis has literally been dead for months at this point. So I'm not going to switch up now.
I forgot who said the quote, though. It's not a rivalry. They always beat our ass. That's basically what this rivalry is between Memphis and Golden State. Memphis won one play-in game, and they won a playoff game by 50 at home, and they got eliminated the game after. So it didn't even matter. Golden State won the title that year. So Golden State tends to own the rivalry, so I understand where you're coming from. If you want Grizzlies first half and Warriors full game, it's +480 on Caesars.
All right. Beautiful. Underdog. What are we doing, Scott?
Do you co-sign the Payton one, or
Yeah.
you want to go something
let's
else?
go lower. Gary Payton. Do
we think ED plays a lot? Does Memphis just go super big and hope for the best?
So the chat was talking earlier about his 16 rebounds in the last game. Honestly, I think he's going to be in foul trouble today. I think the Warriors going to be very aggressive getting inside the paint and going at him. So I told myself I'm not playing ED today.
Well, we want Butler points because I know you mentioned that before. So
yes.
I'm fine with Butler.
Higher. Okay, so the higher on Butler.
And then we should take something from the Magic game.
Paolo. Let's just take
we go Paolo. Yeah, we'll keep it simple.
All right. So we've got Jimmy Butler higher, 22.5 points. We've got what did you
say Butler was at 22.5?
Yeah.
That's so low for Jimmy Butler against this defense.
Yeah. It was 20.5, Scott. It's grown. It was 20.5. So we got that. We've got, what'd you say, Gary Payton, lower 7.5 points. And then finally, Paolo Banchero. We're going to go higher. Where is your 30.5 for Banchero? So There you go. Add that all into Underdog Fantasy, shake it up, and you get 6x on Underdog. Make sure you use that promo code NBA SGPN. Get that special pick and first time deposit offer. Scott, anything else for people before we get up out of here?
Yes. So we're gonna have another episode tomorrow for the playing games for Wednesday. We also have a couple of series previews coming up. A reminder that not all the series are finalized yet. So we are going to have episodes on all the series. We're going to do multiple series per episode just to kind of save time. So keep that in mind. But a lot of content. Of course, we'll have some WNBA stuff coming out next week once win totals come out. I mean, we can do awards, but it's a bit early. I know people wanted WNBA draft recap stuff. I think we'll save that for the win total episode because we're going to be mentioning the draft picks when breaking down each team. Right? That's probably the best way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. Everybody wants us to drop. Tell them to drop the win totals and we will have the episode.
Like because for the win totals, we're going to mix the draft stuff with the free agency, talking about the roster changes. So it's probably better to just merge that with the win total episode. So once that comes out, that'll be the draft recap. Fair?
Oh yeah, no. I understand everybody's excitement. My excitement is there too, and I'm telling you, as soon as I can get some win totals to talk about, then we're good. Let's see here. Somebody asked about points per game averages for. I don't even know what Paige Beckers is even at. Whatever it is, you probably need to take the lower or the under. I don't even have it up here.
She has a couple teammates that don't really love to pass the ball, so we'll see what happens with that team.
She's actually, I saw on FanDuel earlier, she's actually 2-1 to get 20 points in her first game. That is such, like, they are absolutely stealing money with that.
I think Paige Beckers is an absolute monster, but we saw it even with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, you should not bet that game one.
No, it took a month or so. You figure it out eventually, but I don't see it just going up off the rip.
At some point, she's going to be a 50, 40, 90 player, but we're not tuning that in game one. No, I'm more than likely going to be betting Paige unders in the first game. I'm not even going to lie to you.
She's going to be really, really good.
I might take her assist over, though. But for sure, I'm probably going to be betting over on her points. They're going to beat the shit out of her to start the season. All right. Yeah. That's it. Really don't have anything else. He's at Right Show Radio. I'm at really real __. Make sure you give us a follow and leave us a 5-star rating and review. Got some people in the chat. Drop a like on the video on the way out. I appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. And it's her points per game is 15. Nah, because no, I'm not gonna play that because she's really efficient when she does take the shots. But game one, if 2-1, being 20 plus points at 2-1 means that your game one points prop is probably at what, Scott, 17.5?
I was gonna say 17.5.
Yeah, so that's a lot for your first WNBA game. I think she might stumble into what, like a 4 and 10, 12 points. It's not a bad game, but not 17.5 good. So I'm gonna just wait till game one, take the under on that. All right, that's it. Nothing else to say. Nothing else to do. No other way of ending the show. Just gonna end it like this. We are out of here.